Welcome to Shredder Fanfic. Like, subscribe, and hype video. Join members to gain early access to new videos.
After the main character dies inside of his previous life, he wakes up inside of Bleach. He quits a live broadcast and decides to reveal Bleach's secrets, including the parents of Ichigo.
Should not be strong in terms of strength, but just another level of perfection. After all, even in the future scene of the projection of the three realms before, he is still a long way from defeating himself, right? Perhaps it is because of Ichigo Kurisaki's growth potential, and he has the power of humans, death gods, and hollows at the same time, more like a brand new species with infinite potential. So it would be wrong to answer the collapse of Jade by yourself, right? My goal is to replace the Soul King, stand in the sky, establish my own order, and make the Soul Society become what I expect. This is Aizen's proposition for the order of the Soul Society. But I don't know if Ichigo Kurosaki will have his own unique proposition. If he just wants to maintain the order of the Soul King like those conservative death gods, it would be too disappointing. Maybe he will figure out the future path in the future and join his camp. When I think of this, Aizen's heart is still very much looking forward to it. People like Ichigo Kurosaki may really take a unique path in order to protect what is in his heart. While everyone was discussing, a new scene soon appeared on the screen. Byakuya Kuchiki vs. Espada Zomali Lulu. In Huko Mundo. At this time, Zamali was about to attack Rukia Kuchiki, who was lying on the ground. The sister-protecting maniac, Byakuya Kuchiki, quickly appeared and stopped him, attacking Rukia Kuchiki, but it touched Byakuya Kuchiki's reverse scale. Zamali, who is known as the fastest among the Espada, started a speed duel with Byakuya Kuchiki. However, in terms of speed, Zamali was inferior. So, Zamali immediately returned to the blade. Calm down. Mantroi Sangha, a very disgusting monster, appeared in front of everyone. The lower half of his body was a peach-colored pumpkin-shaped ball floating off the ground. 50 yellow eyes appeared on his body. He used his weird eyes to look at Byakuya Kuchiki, causing a mark to appear on his leg. This is the ability he calls love. He can control the place where the mark appears on the enemy. After seeing his legs moving uncontrollably forward, Byakuya Kuchiki was slightly surprised. However, he quickly reacted and cut off the meridians in his legs, making himself unable to move. After seeing Byakuya Kuchiki being so cruel to himself, Somali secretly admired him. He simply locked on the target and placed a mark on Rukia Kuchiki, who was lying on the ground next to him. Seeing this, Byakuya Kuchiki rushed over quickly regardless of his injured leg. The skill that was originally intended to control Rukia hit Byakuya Kuchiki's left arm. Byakuya Kuchiki didn't even think about it and swung his knife again to chop at his left arm. So far, Byakuya Kuchiki has disabled one hand and one foot. He used his right hand to perform Kaido. One of the broken ways, charge. Bang! Kuchiki Byakuya shatter the ice crystals on Rukia's body and let Yamada Hanataro take her away. Unfortunately, Kuchiki Rukia's head was also controlled by the skill, and her whole body was dominated by Sumeri, and she began to attack Yamada Hanataro. Seeing this, Kuchiki Byakuya could only hurriedly stop his sister. Even facing Byakuya Kuchiki with injured hands and feet, Rukia Kuchiki still couldn't win. She simply swung the knife at her neck. Kuchiki Byakuya could only discard his Zanpakuto and use the 61 binding method, 6-staff light prison. Swish! Kuchiki Rukia, whose movements were restricted, naturally couldn't attack herself anymore. Finally, Kuchiki Byakuya, who had no worries, officially performed his Bankai. Senbun Zakura Keijaki. Sumeri originally wanted to control Byakuya Kuchiki's attack, but unfortunately, The number of his 50 eyes was far less than Byakuya Kuchiki's hundreds of millions of sharp blades. Swish, 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 swish. Under Byakuya Kuchiki's attack, the palace of the Kaionyakuni Palace was directly shattered. This shows how strong Byakuya Kuchiki's attack is. However, after the smoke cleared, Byakuya Kuchiki saw that Samily was not dead. His pumpkin lower body turned into a meatball, and a skull-shaped ring armor appeared on the outside, barely blocking Byakuya Kuchiki's attack. Samily, who was at the end of his strength, activated the last 8 eyes on his forehead and wanted to fight Byakuya Kuchiki. However, Byakuya Kuchiki was not afraid at all at this time. He gave up chanting the 81st binding technique, Dankong. He directly interrupted Samily's control. It turned out that Byakuya Kuchiki had seen through Samily's love control, which was actually similar to the power of the death god Kaido. So he only needed to use Kaido to deal with it. Samily completely lost the threat to Byakuya Kuchiki and was soon defeated by Byakuya Kuchiki. Sumari, who was very fanatical about Aizen, was killed while shouting Aizen-sama's name. The scene quickly turned dark after this. End. Huko Mundo. Aizen looked at Samel with an expressionless face. Zomali, it seems that you still lost to the god of death in this battle in Huko Mundo. Although Aizen spoke calmly, he immediately broke into a sweat. You know, Aizen is a god in his mind, and he really embarrassed Aizen. Welcome the 7-day National Day holiday and read books happily. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP points. Chapter 24. Hearing Aizen's words, Samel fell to his knees. I'm sorry. Master Aizen. I will never make the same mistake again. I will fight to the death to protect Huko Mundo. Of course, Aizen was well aware of the essence of leadership, so he only gave Somali a warning and did not blame him too much. However, you kept shouting, "Long live Lord Aizen" in the picture, which also shows your loyalty. At the same time, this also warns us that the power of these gods of death should not be underestimated. And there is another reason, Samaru. The person you met is Byakuya Kuchiki. He has hundreds of millions of blades, which is far more than the number of your eyes. If it were any other captain, you might not fail. You just need to think carefully about how to deal with this captain like Byakuya Kuchiki. Hearing this, Zomali, who was kneeling on the ground, burst into tears. Thank you, Master Aizen. I will go through fire and water for you, no matter what it takes. Grimjow said disdainfully. A mere captain of the Shinigami couldn't even handle him. If it were me, I would definitely be able to easily deal with this Kuchiki Byakuya with my strength. No 8 Salapolo also sneered. You're not even as good as me when you're the 7th Espada. Alquira noticed other details. Isn't this our Huko Mundo? Will the god of death attack our Huko Mundo? This is too unimaginable, isn't it? Aizen Sasuke frowned and thought about this. The Shinigami will never mobilize a large army to attack Huko Mundo. They probably want to sabotage us because we have started to implement our plan. But they are too naive. Their original power is far inferior to that of our god of death. At this time, it will only disperse my forces. It is digging your own grave. Anyway, don't worry, we have no rivals ahead of us. Aizen Sasuke's words were so powerful. They kept echoing in the Palace of Night and made all the Espada excited. They firmly believed that with Aizen's leadership, they would definitely be able to flatten Soul Society and let the gods of death know how powerful they are. The people of Soul Society also began to analyze the battle just now. Ichigo Kurosaki, I have to say, this Espada is really strong. Even though Captain Kuchiki defeated him, it was still a little thrilling. Anohana Ritsu. Well, seriously speaking, if Kenpachi Zaraki faces such an opponent, he is likely to be defeated. After all, this is someone who requires certain strategies to deal with. Hitsugaya Taoshiru. Indeed, Captain Zaraki is strong, but if he is not facing an opponent but an out-of-control self, it is hard to say. Kenpachi Zaraki, hey. Really? I want to see if he can successfully control me. Mayuri Kuretsuchi. He. I also want to study this Zomali. It's really fun to be able to control others with just a glance. I want to see if I can copy his moves. Yuka take Jashiro. I'm already getting goosebumps. Of course, there's nothing to analyze about the details of this battle. Everyone is more concerned about the causes and consequences of this battle. Anohana Ritsu. By the way, why did our Captain Kuchiki go to Huko Mundo? It seems that something big is going to happen in the future. Kairaku Shunsui. I don't know if it has anything to do with the attack on the present world by future Aizen. Ulquira. Maybe the connection is that it was because your people came to Huko Mundo that they didn't make it back alive. After all, among the Bleach attacking Aizen-sama, this Byakuya Kuchiki was not seen. Abarai Renji, are you kidding me? Captain Kuchiki is not someone you can handle. Grimjow. Oh, you and Rukia Kuchiki didn't appear either. Maybe they were killed, along with Byakuya Kuchiki. Abarai Renji. Humph, let's wait and see. We'll find out. Although he said it confidently, Abarai Renji couldn't help but feel a little worried. It must be said that entering Aizen's territory, Huko Mundo, is indeed a very risky thing. I wonder why my future self would do this. Unless there is an important reason, right? Before everyone had discussed for long, a new scene soon appeared on the screen. In the building complex of Soul Society, Abarai Renji, whose attire has obviously changed, is fighting a mysterious enemy. During the battle, he found that his attacks were ineffective. The opponent always used a mysterious emblem to block his attacks. When Abarai Renji was seriously thinking about how to deal with the enemy, another enemy appeared from behind him and launched a sneak attack. Fortunately, at this time, Byakuya Kuchiki appeared and resolved the attack of this enemy. And the person in front of him was none other than the Quincy of the Invisible Empire, F. Ace Not. After finding that his Shikai could not harm Ace Not at all, Kuchiki Byakuya frowned and prepared to activate his Bankai. But Abarai Renji dissuaded him. Captain Kuchiki, according to Vice Captain Suzub's report, this guy can seal Bankai and is very dangerous. Kuchiki Byakuya simply said, I know, but these people are the enemies of Vice Captain Sparrow, and they made the Serete bleed without any warning. This is unforgivable. Without Bankai, we can't defeat them. We can only try to find a way to break the seal. So Renji, if my Bankai is sealed, then I can only rely on your Bankai. After saying this, Kuchiki Byakuya no longer hesitated. Bankai. Thousands of cherry blossom-colored blades, Will F. Ace Notch was surrounded. However, Kuchiki Byakuya was surprised to find that his power disappeared in the next second. He muttered to himself, absent-mindedly. How is it possible? Banka wasn't sealed. It was taken away. After seeing this scene, everyone in the entire death world was shocked. Yamamoto, Genrusai Shijikuni. What time period is this scene in front of me from? Is it also from the future? An enemy has actually invaded Soul Society. Ichigo Kurosaki. This time I am different from before. There is a mysterious enemy who really invaded Soul Society. Kuchiki Byakuya. If they can capture my Senbonzakura Keijaki, then the other captains can also. At this moment, the gods of death are all shocked. Welcome the 7-day National Day holiday and have fun reading books. Top up 100 and get 500 VIP points. Chapter 25. In the chat group, all the death gods became serious and continued their conversation. Hitsuge Toshiro. Indeed, judging from the information in the picture, there is definitely more than one enemy. So is it possible that our captain's Bankai will also be in trouble? Suzuki Chijiro. According to Captain Byakuya, I have fought these enemies before. If even my Bankai is taken away, it would be a disaster. Anohana Ritsu. I feel an ominous feeling that I haven't felt for a long time. Kenpachi Zaraki. Oh. So powerful. Then let me take action. I'm not afraid of having my Bankai taken away. Let me fight them and finish them off. Aizen Sasuke. This is beyond my expectation that there is such an enemy. I wonder which will come first, this or that, compared to my previous battle. In the Palace of the Night. Aizen was finally surprised. In the picture, he had fought so many Shinigami, which meant that it was time to implement his plan. He should be close to attacking the Soul King Palace, right? But why is there this mysterious enemy? Who is ruling the Soul Society at this time? If his plan has been successful, how dare these mysterious enemies invade? Aizen was confused and couldn't figure it out, so he concentrated and carefully analyzed the information in the picture. Hitsuge Taoshiru. Aizen, you traitor, just shut up. We don't need you to protect Soul Society. Aizen Sasuke. If you dare to attack my Soul Society, I certainly can't just stand by and watch. What if you captains can't solve it? Yamamoto, Genrusai Shijikuni. What do you mean by your Soul Society? Stop talking nonsense, Aizen. Don't worry, we, the Gotai 13, are fully capable of dealing with it. As long as I am still here, no one can destroy the Soul Society. Aizen Sasuke, I hope you can solve it, otherwise I will have to take action. Grimja, Captain Shinigami is in such a mess. Maybe we should just let the Hollows take action. We don't have to worry about having our Bankai taken away. Ichigo Kurosaki, what are you talking about? Do you think it will be easy for you to deal with such a strong captain if his Bankai is taken away? At this time, in the Invisible Empire, Haswood and others finally showed rare emotion. Why did our Quincy start to attack Soul Society? Is this also a scenario for the future? Since Soul Society knows about our ability to seize Bankai, it must be an all-out war. On the throne, Iwatch, who claims to be omniscient and almighty, just looked at the projection of the three realms expressionlessly. Although he thinks he can see through everything, the scope of omniscience and almightiness is limited. Iwatch can only be secretly wary of the projection of the three realms. The power of the projection of the three realms is indeed far beyond his imagination. It will probably take several years for him to fully recover his strength. Could it be that the projection of the three realms can see so far into the future? However, at this time, because he wanted to maintain his image of being in control of the overall situation, he did not say much, but just watched his subordinates talking. After seeing himself appear, Ace Knot smiled grimly. It seems that our Majesty will be able to fully recover his strength soon, so he will lead us to invade Soul Society. This so-called Kuchiki Byakuya is definitely not my opponent. Hashwolf's expression also showed some expectation. If nothing unexpected happens, this will happen in a few years, right? That's good. We have been lurking for so long. It's time to let Soul Society know about our Quincy style again. While everyone was discussing fiercely, the scene continued to play. Seeing that Byakuya Kuchiki was in trouble, Abare Renji also wanted to use his Bankai. But Byakuya Kuchiki stopped him and used his Bankai baboon King Snake Tail Pill as the last killer. At this time, Byakuya Kuchiki wanted to take the lead, which made Ace Nod used all his strength to let Abarai Renji observe what his weakness is. In chat group, Kenpachi Zaraki, I recognize Captain Kuchiki's strength. He can easily deal with such a weak enemy, right? Byakuya Kuchiki. Although I would like to think so, this enemy's ability is indeed strange. It will be quite troublesome to seal his Bankai and rely only on my Shikai. Urahara Kisuke, I'm not really afraid of it. I should be able to deal with it if I use my Shikai. Hirako Marco, I don't think it's that scary to have my Bankai taken away. Kenpachi Zaraki, I'm even less afraid. It is okay if my Shikai is taken away. Komamura Sajin, I can't say if I don't use Bankai. Mayuri Kuratsachi, if we don't get the enemy's intelligence, it's impossible to win. We'd better play a strategic defense. In the picture, Ace not seized the opportunity and activated his fear ability, creating a cone-like light arrow out of thin air around him, successfully hitting Byakuya Kuchiki. According to Ace Not's narration, everyone also understood his ability. Those hit by his light arrow will fall into a state of fear. They will be suspicious of everything around them and unable to focus on the battle. Facing Ace Not's fear ability, Byakuya Kuchiki was very calm at first. He was even able to attack him with ease. What a lot of nonsense. How can there be battle without fear? I accepted fear in the battle, so I was able to subdue it and gain the strength to move forward. However, as he was talking, an extremely terrifying scene suddenly appeared in Byakuya Kuchiki's mind. It made him unable to concentrate on the battle. With extreme fear in his heart, Byakuya Kuchiki's pupils shrank suddenly, and he tried to chop the opponent with a knife. But Byakuya Kuchiki's attack was no longer organized, and Ace Knot was able to severely injure Byakuya Kuchiki. At the same time, he took the opportunity to release the Bankai sealed in the badge. Boom, 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 boom. This is the Senbon Zakura Kaijin, performed by Ace Knot. Byakuya Kuchiki could not defeat his own Bankai with just the Shikai. Hundreds of millions of cherry blossom blades severely injured him, and under the powerful impact force, he was also hit against a nearby wall. Byakuya Kuchiki was seriously injured. His ribs and even his internal organs were blown into a bloody mess. It was horrible to watch. A complete defeat. Seeing this scene, everyone was more surprised than ever. This scene shocked them even more than the previous battle. Abarai Renji, the captain, was injured so badly. Damn it. Who the hell is this guy? Kuchiki Byakuya, Could I have suffered such a terrible defeat? And my Bankai was taken away from me. This is such an insult to the dignity of our Kuchiki family. Anyway, what on earth did I see in my mind? Matsumoto Rangaku. This enemy's ability is similar to the punishment Captain Kuchiki received before. Obviously, he said his fear was an instinctive fear, which might be because he saw the scene that Captain Kuchiki was most unwilling to see. Hitsugaya Taoshiro. Indeed, although Captain Kuchiki has a lot of combat experience, he is unable to overcome his fear because he cares about his sister. He still has a weakness in his heart. Zomali, as expected, your god of death is not that powerful despite all the hype. Grim, Humph, I think I'm the one who is fearless, and these death gods are not worthy of it. If it were me, I would be able to deal with this enemy in an instant. Abarai Renji, okay, stop bragging. Anyway, we haven't fought each other, so I can only let you talk big. Be careful not to get slapped in the face later. Mayuri Kuratsachi. It seems that the punishment from the Three Realms projection was not without reason. Recalling the image of the skull of Rukia Kuchiki before. Byakuya Kuchiki and the others still can't get rid of it in their minds, and they shudder. If nothing unexpected happens, Byakuya Kuchiki, who is fighting with Ace not in the picture, must have seen a similar scene. It's simply the power of the underworld. Ichigo Kurosaki. It seems that Byakuya Kuchiki may have been thinking of Rukia at this time, which is why he lost his mind and was caught by the enemy. Kenpachi Zaraki, what a sinister opponent. Kuchiki, Byakuya. I seem to be able to empathize with myself in the picture. It should be a similar scene to the previous punishment. In this way, I can turn it into a blessing in disguise. At least I can sharpen my mind in advance. In the future, I will never repeat the same mistake. You could take Joshiro. We have also seen the power of this mysterious enemy. We must try our best to avoid its ability to take away Bankai, and also avoid its light arrow attacks. Anohana Ritsu. Yes, unless you can use spiritual pressure to restrain this ability, but I guess many captains can't do it. And in the picture, Captain Kuchiki is so seriously injured, even I dare not say that I can cure him. Kairaku Shansui. And according to their conversation, there should be many similar enemies, a team that is really a crisis that Soul Society has not seen in many years. All the death gods in Soul Society are facing a formidable enemy. Welcome the 7-day National Day holiday and read books happily. Top up 100 and get 500 VIP points. Chapter 26. At this time, countless death gods have analyzed a lot of important information. It will be of great help in future battles. Komamura Sajin. For those who rely on Bankai, this is indeed a major blow. Unless they are also outstanding in the aspects of Zanquin Zaugui. But even such a well-rounded Captain Kuchiki is like this. The others must be more alert. Hirako Marco. Humph, then you may have to rely on the strength of our masked army. After all, we are not the kind of people who rely solely on Bankai to fight. Yuda Bokshuan. Then I should still be able to fight with my own ghost ability. Sarugaki Hiyori. Tusk, these annoying Shinigami, even if they ask us for help, they should at least beg us nicely. Yamamoto Genrusai Shijikuni. Don't worry, I'm still alive. As long as I'm the strongest god of death, it's useless no matter how strong they are. Can't use Bankai. Humph my Shikai, Baider, can kill them. You could take Joshiro. That's right, as long as the teacher is here, we have the magic needle that can stabilize the sea. At this time, after seeing the scene of the 1,000-year bloody battle, everyone felt like they were facing a formidable enemy. They all thought seriously about how to deal with so many terrible enemies. Of course, in the Invisible Empire, the Quincy's also looked more serious. Some Quincy's were worried that the exposure of these future scenes might affect their plans. After all, they knew most of the information about Soul Society. And Soul Society knew nothing about them. But now, with the projection of the 3 realms, their intelligence advantage will no longer exist. Of course, many arrogant Quincy's still don't care about this. Ace Knot, who just appeared, also curled his lips. Even if my ability is known, it won't be a big problem. I believe they cannot overcome the fear of the origin. Except for a few Grim Reapers with bug abilities, I am not afraid of the others at all. As long as His Majesty is here, the end of Soul Society being destroyed will definitely not be changed. The other Quincy's also echoed. They all have firm confidence in their abilities. These traditional Shinigami simply cannot fight against these bug-powered ones. When the death gods can't help but feel fear and dread, a new video is about to appear. Bite. Next, let's start counting down the famous scenes related to the next captain. The captain of the 10th Division of the Gotai 13, the youngest captain, the owner of the most powerful ice-type Zanpakuto, known as a genius boy, Hitsugaya Taoshiru. One of the 5 members of the Swastika group. After hearing this, the Soul Society's death gods were once again extremely surprised. Another inventory of the death god captains. And it seemed to sound very wrong. Hitsugeya Taoshiru. How come I am also a member of the enemy bandit group? This name sounds weird. Matsumoto Rangiku. That's understandable. After all, there's not much difference between your Shikai and Bankai. If you can use Bankai, there's no need to use Shikai. Hitsugeya Taoshiru. Humph, even without using Bankai, I am still very strong. Hinamori Momo. After watching the previous footage of Captain Kuchiki, I suddenly feel a little worried about you, Zairobai. Kairaku Shunsui. Taoshiru is a young genius. In another 100 years, he will definitely surpass me, so there is no need to worry about him getting into trouble. You could take Joshiro, but I am still worried about those who will invade Soul Society in the future. Anohana Ritsu. There is no point worrying about something so far away. When has Soul Society ever been afraid of foreign enemies? Let's just think about Aizen, who is so close. Indeed, Aizen's crisis at this moment is visible to the naked eye. Hitsugeya Taoshiru. Damn, I don't know if these enemies were colluded by Aizen himself. Aizen Sasuke, don't look at me like that. I don't need these external enemies to realize my ideals. Tozen Kane. Our Lord Aizen can easily deal with most of the members of your Gotai 13 by himself. Yamamoto Genrusai Shijikuni. Don't be too complacent. Even if I don't take action, with so many captains taking action, Aizen won't be able to handle it calmly. As everyone was talking, the corresponding scene soon appeared on the screen. This was the follow-up scene of Aizen killing Hinamori Momo. In the building of Soul Society, after discovering that the central 46th chamber had been destroyed, Hitsugeya Taoshiru also quickly saw Aizen and Ikamaru Jin. Taoshiru was shocked and stared at the dead Aizen. Soon, he saw Hinamori bleeding all over the ground. Taoshiru instantly fell into a rage. Aizen turned around and said lightly, "What a pity that you found out. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. At least I should have chopped her into pieces to prevent you from finding out." Aizen looked quiet and weak on the surface, but he said such an extremely evil statement in a calm tone. Under Aizen's deliberate provocation, Taoshiru became even more furious. He clenched his fists and screamed loudly with a look of grief and anger. "So, you deceived all of us." Aizen just smiled and denied it. "No, I didn't deceive you. It's just that you didn't know my true face. There are some truths I hope you can understand. Longing is the most distant feeling from understanding. The great philosopher Aizen Sasuke is now officially online. Even Taoshiru can't refute it. Welcome the 7-day National Day holiday and read books happily. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP points. Chapter 28. At this moment, Harable, who had returned to her sword form, began to fight against Hitsugeya Taoshiru. She continuously released water streams, but because she was restrained by Hyorinmaru, she was slightly at a disadvantage in terms of attributes. But after all, Harable was a no 3-level Espada, and her hard power was stronger than Hitsugeya Taoshiru. So even though her opponent's attributes were restrained, Harable still beat Hitsugeya Taoshiru very badly. Although Hitsugeya Taoshiru wanted to release his ultimate move, considering that his companions were there, he could only release the 1,000 years of ice prison first to control Harable. But in a split second, Harable broke the 1,000 years of ice prison. Bang! After all, this move couldn't even kill Ruby, so how could it possibly hurt Harable? Harable immediately used the broken waterfall move, and a huge column of water burst out like a monstrous waterfall. Crash! Hitsugeya Taoshiru was directly rushed to the ground and couldn't help but pale with horror. He spent a lot of effort before he finally had the opportunity to use the Ice Sky 100 Flowers Burial. At the same time, he activated his own weather-changing control skill, Tian Xiang Kong Jin. The weather on the battlefield, where he was located, changed drastically. The sky was covered with dark clouds, and it was dark. A storm was about to come. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Soon a hole appeared in the sky, and countless snowflakes fell from the sky. Although Harrible wanted to block these snowflakes, she couldn't stand the dense and tiny snowflakes. Before long, countless snowflakes fell on Harrible, and ice flowers exploded one after another on her body. When these ice flowers reached 100, Harrible was finally successfully frozen. A towering icicle was formed. Ice Sky 100 Flowers Burial. It seems that Harrible was completely trapped under the attack of Hitsuge Toshiro and lost her combat effectiveness. After the picture came here, it also stopped temporarily. This situation quickly attracted serious analysis from everyone. Kairaku Shunsui, I have to say, this Arankar is quite strong. Even though he was restrained by Taoshiru, he still managed to gain the upper hand for a time. Ichigo Kurosaki, is this Aizen's no? 3 Arankar. He is indeed much stronger than no. 6 Grim. Kairaku Shunsui, it's really scary. I don't know how troublesome enemies know. 2 and no. 1 will be. Byligan, don't worry, I'll let you know soon. Ulquira, it's just that this kid captain picked a good opponent. If it were me, I would definitely be able to easily defeat him. Hitsuge Taoshiru, who are you calling a child? Yukitake Jashiro. These Arankars always want to invade the human world. What do they want to do? We must be on our guard. Ichigo Kurosaki. Yes, looking at this familiar scene, how come it looks a bit like the Karakura town where I live? So many powerful Arankars and Aizen have appeared. It's really a decisive battle. Ichigo Kurosaki was also worried at this time. I don't know when I can become stronger and have the power to protect my companions. But no matter how much I practice, am I still in Aizen's arrangement? As a chess piece, how can I defeat the chess player Aizen? However, before Hitsuge Toshiro could be happy for long, the scene in the picture changed drastically. Another Arankar, Wonderwise, rushed to the battlefield and roared, shattering Harrible's ice pillar. Crack! The ice flower burial was cracked. Harrible was free. And judging from her appearance, she didn't seem to be seriously injured and could continue fighting. Harrible frowned, and her whole body's momentum suddenly soared. Another duel with the captain of the death god. Hitsuge Toshiro secretly groaned at this. It seems that he will have to continue a difficult battle next. After seeing this scene, everyone started a heated discussion. Harrible, I was right. This little bit of ice is not enough to break my defense. Grimja, if you are defeated by this Hitsuge Taoshiru, you'd better give up your position as no 3. Harrible, I can only say that Hitsuge Taoshiru may be a bit overpowering of me. If I change my opponent, it should be easy to deal with. Ulquira, then leave it to me. Byligan, if it were me, he would definitely not be able to fight back, and he wouldn't even have time to run away. Rokuguru Makensei, it's Wanderwace again, is he that powerful? It seems that my defeat to him is understandable. Marco Hirako, come on, Kensei, at least hold on a little longer. Ichigo Kurosaki, Aizen does have a lot of troops. The scene starts switching again. But this time, it is the Soul Society that everyone is very familiar with. Hitsuge Taoshiru, whose attire has obviously changed, seems to be teaming up with Kuchiki Byakuya to deal with a powerful opponent. Kuchiki Byakuya is standing next to him and asks worriedly, Captain Hitsuge, you should release your Bankai as your limit is almost reached. Everyone thought that the shattering of the last ice flower marked the end of Hitsugaya Taoshiru's Bankai. But in fact, it was the opposite. This was the true completion of his Bankai. Hitsugaya Taoshiru did not end his Bankai and said calmly, "Sorry, I never said that after the ice flowers are shattered, I will end my Bankai. On the contrary, this is the final completion of my Bankai." Crack. Then all the ice flowers shattered. Hitsugaya Taoshiru's appearance changed instantly. Becoming his adult form made him look even more mature. Kuchiki Byakuya. So Taoshiru was playing so many captains before. If I had known this, why would I worry about it? Hitsugaya Taoshiru finally had a highlight moment, so he slowly stood up and looked at the enemy with a sharp gaze. But in this state, I will get older, so I don't really like it. At this moment, the barrage of comments also exploded, occupying the entire screen. "Hey, handsome guy, who are you?" "Baya, so you had kept something in reserve before." "Byakuya, who are you implying is old?" "Appearance determines strength. Dong Shilang will kill a lot." "I Shirasaki Ichigo, am finally going to cheat." "When did you get the illusion that my shattering of ice flowers meant the end of my Bankai? After being slapped in the face for so long, I can finally have a highlight moment, right?" After seeing this scene, countless Shinigami were surprised. They all ignored the enemy that Hitsugaya Taoshiru was fighting and focused on Hitsugaya Taoshiru's Bankai and appearance. Matsumoto Rangaku, where is the captain? "Is this your brother?" "Hitsugaya Taoshiru, hey. What are you looking at?" "It's obviously me." All the death gods in Soul Society are amazed. Start to watch the next battle carefully. What will happen? Welcome the 7-day National Day holiday and have fun reading books. Top up 100 and get 500 VIP points. Chapter 29. After seeing the scene of Hitsugaya Toshiro becoming an adult, everyone was shocked and started a heated discussion. "Hinamori Momo, is this true? Zairabai, how come you suddenly grew up? Is this a scene from 100 years later? But that's not right. You were still very small in the original picture. Ichigo Kurosaki, could it be a mirror flower or a water moon? My Bankai is just a change of clothes at most. How come you can transform directly? You could take Jashiro. You're not a child anymore. You've finally grown up. Kairaku Shunsui, I may not be able to compare to the fully grown Taoshiru. Horrible, this Hitsugaya Taoshiru can actually become even stronger. That's not what you said when you used your Bankai before. Anohana Ritsu, he is indeed a talented boy. With a certain amount of training, Captain Hitsugaya still has a lot of room for improvement. Kenpachi Zaraki, hey, if there's a chance after we defeat the enemy, let's have a fight. Hitsugaya Taoshiru, let's not do that. Abare Renji, I also want to further upgrade my Bankai. As everyone was amazed, a deafening voice was heard on the screen. A huge man wearing a red cape, black trousers, and a mask with wings on his head, similar to a gladiator, threw his shield at Hitsugaya Taoshiru. This man was the Soul King's Heart, Miracle, Gerard Valkyrie, one of the 4 guards of Iwatch. However, Hitsugaya Taoshiru remained calm. He waved his hand gently, and the cold air swept out, covering the shield. His strength at this time was indeed far superior to that of the boy. Kale. This huge shield, like the sun, was instantly frozen. He exhaled a breath of cold air from his mouth. If something this big fell into the Soul Society, it would be troublesome. Hitsugaya Taoshiru's words surprised everyone. Could it be that the place where they were fighting was actually above the Soul Palace? Only a few people knew that this was where the Soul King Palace was located. The barrage continues to float by. Holy shit. Has Dong Shilang really become stronger and finally stopped getting beaten? Zairobai, I confess, it was for Hinamori that I deliberately didn't become so tall. Aizen, so you were still holding back your ultimate move when I killed you instantly. Zairobai, I already have the strongest form, but I never wait until the ice flowers are completely broken. Hey, I'm just playing. Do you understand the value of a talented young man? High EQ, promising future. Low EQ, weakest now. In the chat group, everyone focused their attention on this powerful enemy. They were shocked again and continued to discuss. Hitsugaya Taoshiru, how is this possible? Then what kind of enemy is this? Yamamoto Genrusai Shijikuni, damn it. As long as I am still alive, I will never allow them to do such a thing. Kairaku Shunsui, the situation seems to be a little bit bad. You could take Joshiro. This is a severe test for our Gotai 13 and even for all the Shinigami in Soul Society. Aizen Sasuke. Oh, the place where they fought is indeed not just an ordinary Soul Society. This is the Soul King Palace. How did they get the King Key? For Aizen, who has been planning to stand in the sky and enter the Soul King Palace, this scene really surprised him. It was completely beyond his imagination. In this world, there are other forces that are planning the Soul King. Who would that be? This should be a scene in the future, without a doubt. After seeing the unique abilities of these Quincy, Aizen was expressionless on the surface, but he already had a guess in his heart. Could it be Yauhabak and his forces? For Aizen, who has all the means, there are ways to know what happened to Yauhabak and others thousands of years ago. The only thing that surprised him was that Yauhabak would attack the Soul Society so quickly. Combined with the weird means of seizing Bankai, the power of Yauhabak may really not be underestimated. And Aizen also thought that he was less than a year away from fusing the collapsing jade. If he succeeds in breaking into the Soul King Palace, what about Iwatch? Could it be that? Aizen couldn't help but come up with the worst plan. Will there really be any accidents in the future? In the future, he should have fought with the Gotai 13 and others, and even showed his strength to kill them in seconds. Even the Captain General Yamamoto, Genrusai Shijikuni, was within his response strategy. What other accidents could happen? Did the people of Soul Society disrupt his plans, or was it because of Iwatch's power? It seems that in addition to dealing with the Shinigami of Soul Society, he also needs to keep an extra hand to deal with this mysterious Iwatch. In addition, Aizen couldn't help but imagine. Does this so-called Three Realms projection really have such a powerful power that it can predict the future? At this time, the people from the Shinigami, Hollows, and humans all began to fall into deep thought. They had to figure out the power of the mysterious invader in the Soul King Palace. This could be a being comparable to Aizen, or even more terrifying than Aizen. And because of the scene, M. Miracle, Gerard Valkyrie, F. Fear, Ace Knot, and the others were no longer traditional Quincy. They had been given the power of the holy word by Iwatch, and with the power of the complete holy body, they had already far exceeded their imagination. So for a while, everyone was unable to tell their identities. Hitsugaya Taoshiru, who are these mysterious people? Where does their power come from? At least they are not from the side of the god of death, right? Hirako Marco. Indeed, and from what I know, it doesn't seem like a Hollow's power. Ichigo Kurosaki. Ah, then what other power does this have? Urahara Kasuke. From the previous video, I felt that their power was not right, and it is indeed worth our careful analysis. Wang Yue from Ermiwu. If such a terrible situation really happened, we would definitely not stand idly by. Hayashubu Ikaibai. Looks like we have to help the Gotai 13 too. Kairaku Shunsui. Ah, you big shots have also seen the projection of the three realms. Can you come in and chat? Yamamoto, Genrusai Shijikuni. Oh, it seems you guys have to take action too. Shiutara Senjumaru. Yes, we have seen this chat group before, but now we feel that we can no longer remain silent. Ichigo Kurosaki. Ah, who is this person? Why do the Gotai 13 respect him so much? Eh. While everyone was discussing, the video was still playing. Gerald saw that Hitsugaya Taoshiru blocked his attack, and he was not convinced, so he immediately started to use a new weapon. Sword of Hope. Swish. Facing Gerald's attack, Hitsugaya Taoshiru immediately froze his sword. As long as it is frozen, all the functions of the material will stop. At this time, Hitsugaya Taoshiru has transformed into the strongest control. Welcome the 7-day National Day holiday and read books happily. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP points. Chapter 30. Facing the powerful freezing power of Hitsugaya Taoshiru, Gerard frowned slightly and used his new weapon again. This time, it was finally the traditional weapon of the Quincy, the spirit bow and arrow. At this time, he did not need a physical bow and arrow. He could use spirit particles to create a physical bow and arrow to attack Hitsugaya Taoshiru. After seeing this scene, everyone realized that this should be the most typical attack method of the Quincy. Ishida Aryuu. Ah, how come they know Quincy skills? Hitsugaya Taoshiru, there's no doubt about it. This bow and arrow is the Quincy's signature skill. How could such a powerful Quincy exist? Byakuya Kuchiki, that mysterious enemy that appeared before, was able to use fear to disturb me. Could he also be a Quincy? Yamamoto, Genrusai Shijikuni, the Quincies have revived. And they have appeared in an organized and large-scale manner. Iwatch, is that you? Kenpachi Zaraki, this is really interesting. Is there another chance for a big battle? The appearance of the Quincy has further heated up the atmosphere of the entire Soul Society. The tension was heating up. At the same time, the forces of Huko Mundo were also greatly surprised. Stark, it's the Quincy. I almost forgot they exist. Byligan, the Quincy can actually make a comeback. I've never seen anything like this before. I've witnessed the ups and downs of the Quincy, and it really makes me feel emotional. Horrible, these Quincies only want to wipe out the Hollows, and we will never forget what they did back then. I hope Master Aizen will lead us to destroy these Quincies. Ulquira, I don't know when this scene happened, but I firmly believe that under the leadership of Master Aizen, we will have no rivals ahead. This is at most a small episode on our way forward. Grimjow, if we want to fight the Quincies, we are the most suitable. You weak Shinigami, just get out of here. On the throne of Kaoniaku. Seeing this, Aizen's eyes turned cold. As an expert who loves research, the history of Soul Society is also within Aizen's research scope. He naturally has a way to know what happened back then. Nearly 1,000 years ago, Iwatch led his Quincies to go to war with Soul Society. The Shinigami headed by Yamamoto, Genrusai, Shijikuni all went through a hard battle before they successfully defeated the Quincies. Iwatch was basically beaten half to death by Yamamoto, Genrusai Shijikuni. But now it seems that he may not be dead. And after nearly 1,000 years of training, Iwatch can make a comeback again. So in addition to the existence of Yamamoto, Genrusai Shijikuni, Squad Zero, Urahara Kasuke, etc., you have to make other plans for these Quincies. In this way, you can ensure that there is no room for error. Aizen, who always thinks he has everything planned out, must arrange everything carefully. At this time, in the Invisible Empire on the other side, seeing their power slowly exposed, Hashwolf and others under Yauherbark all frowned. His Majesty has not yet fully recovered his strength. If they discover us and become wary, it will be very troublesome. It was fine that Ace Knot was exposed before, but now even Gerard's ability has been exposed. This is really not good. Yes, they all know the technique we can use to seize Bankai. It won't be so easy to deal with them in the future. Although the Quincy's are very arrogant, they still feel a little uncomfortable when seeing so much information exposed. Especially for those Quincy's who are new to killing, and it is very important to protect their ability information. They are even more worried about their information being exposed. At this moment, countless people looked at Ihwach with questioning eyes. On the throne, Ihwach raised his eyes slightly, scanned his subordinates, and then said lightly, "Although exposing our intelligence is not a good thing for us, there is no need to worry too much about it. At least it allows us to see our own strength. We, the stern Cross Knights, can definitely easily deal with these Gotai 13. Perhaps the only ones who are in trouble are the members of Squad Zero and the special grade combat forces." After hearing what Yauhabak said, the Quincy's cheered in unison. They really believed that the holy words and perfect holy body given to them by Yauhabak were far beyond the existence of the god of death. With such a powerful strength, they can definitely solve the Soul Society. Hearing this, Gerard Valkyrie also said carelessly, "You're right, even if they knew my abilities, it wouldn't be a big problem. In the face of absolute strength, no matter how much information you have, it will be useless. I will be a miracle that they can never imagine. Look at how I bully these captains. Let them know how hopeless it is to face an enemy that cannot be destroyed. Aizen's ability to recover from the Hojioku is nothing compared to mine. As the Soul King's heart, he possesses the ability of miracle, and he believes that he has the confidence to do so." The scene was still playing. Gerard, who was using the spirit bow and arrow, said with a grim smile, "Our spirit particles are not matter, and you will never freeze them. Let me defeat you with my divine power." After all, Gerard's power belongs to the elements. He didn't think that Hitsugae Taoshiru could even freeze the elements. This was completely beyond his knowledge. However, Hitsugae Taoshiru still said coldly, "Then you are wrong. 4 realms frozen." Buzz. The next second, Gerald was directly frozen into an ice sculpture by Hitsugae Taoshiru. A huge ice sculpture hundreds of meters high. The biting cold made the audience outside the screen shudder. This is the ultimate secret of Hitsugae Taoshiru. Of course, Hitsugae Taoshiru is still a little naive, so he can only freeze Gerald for a while. Snap. Soon, in the shocked eyes of countless people, Gerald got rid of Hitsugae Taoshiru's freezing. Even facing Hitsugae Taoshiru's ultimate secret that can freeze everything, Gerald can still solve it easily. This is the power of the Soul King's heart. Barrages of comments floated by. It's a pity that Zairobai is so handsome, but he still can't defeat the enemy completely. Although it is very handsome, it seems that it still cannot hurt the enemy. Who cares? Being humiliated is temporary, but being handsome is for life. High EQ, the strongest control type Zanpakuto. Low EQ, in addition to control, the damage is 0. Captain Yamamoto has the highest damage. Zairobai has the strongest control. In the chat group, many people also cried out that it was a pity. Ichigo Kurosaki. "Oh, just a little bit. I thought I would have a chance to attack if I froze him." Chijiro Suzuki. This mysterious Quincy is indeed strong. Matsumoto Rangaku. It seems that you still can't completely freeze the enemy, Captain. I shouldn't laugh, but it seems that you can always freeze the enemy, but you can't give the opponent a fatal blow. Byakuya Kuchiki. This is normal. Taoshiru's fighting style is more about control. It seems a bit difficult to let him kill the enemy directly. Before, when dealing with the espada of Huko Mundo, he could only freeze them, not kill them directly. But I am still in the picture, so I should be able to defeat the enemy. Kairaku Shunsui, but we have to think about it from another angle. Taoshiru is the best assistant. It seems that if we have the opportunity in the future, working together with Taoshiru will definitely produce an effect that is greater than the sum of its parts. Horrible. Hitsuge Toshiro's previous skills definitely couldn't cause much damage to me. Apart from cooling me down, I don't think there would be much damage. Bailagan, to deal with these fancy Quincy, we still have to let our hollows play. I want to let them know the power of the king of Huko Mundo. Facing the common enemy of the Quincy, Huko Mundo and Soul Society are indignant. They have decided to deal with these hateful Quincy. Welcome the 7-day National Day holiday and read books happily. Top up 100 and get 500 VIP points. Chapter 31. At this time in Soul Society, the 13 court guards gathered together. The captains who were out on missions also returned quickly. Yamamoto, Genrusai, Shijikuni held a captain meeting to seriously discuss the various information in the video. These words must be said in real life and cannot be said in the chat group. Captain Yamamoto presided over the meeting with a serious face. Although we don't know where these Quincies are from, it is basically certain that they are the remnants of the Quincies from thousands of years ago, and they are very likely related to Iwatch. Many of you new captains may not know this name. Captain General Yamamoto simply told the story of Iwatch and the intelligence of the war 1,000 years ago. The common ancestor of all Quincies. The bloody battles of the first Gotai 13. That Bankai Zankadachi, used by Genrusai Shijikuni Yamamoto. All these things made the new captains, such as Hitsuge Taoshiru, amazed. It turns out that in this world, there are such terrible Quincies. After speaking, Genrusai Shijikuni Yamamoto said in an extremely serious tone. From the video just now, we can also see that the power of their Quincy has indeed been greatly improved. Therefore, we must dig deep into the ground to find them. You must work hard to search for information about them. At the same time, you must also observe the details of the video on the golden screen and not miss any clues. Nijian said in a cold tone. Don't worry, I will also try my best to analyze their abilities and see if I can deal with this strange ability to seize Bankai. Hitsuge Taoshiru clenched his fists. And we can't rely too much on our Bankai, otherwise, if it is really taken away, we will be completely unable to fight. Kashiki Byakuya also proposed at this time. Speaking of Quincy, do you remember the recent disaster? Among Ichigo Kurisaki's group, there was a Quincy. Mayuri Kuretsuchi, who had fought with Ishida Uryu, rushed to say, "This guy Ishida Uryu is the grandson of Ishida Sojin, and he does use the methods of the Quincy. But don't worry, I have obtained a lot of his data, and sooner or later I will analyze his intelligence clearly." In addition, Ishida Uryu is now suspected to have lost the power of the Quincy. Kairaku Shunsui's eyes were deep, and no one knew what he was thinking. Of course, we can't just treat him as an enemy. I feel that Ishida Uryu should have no direct connection with these invading Quincies. The fighting style of these new Quincies is completely different from the past. After all, to put it bluntly, Ishida Uryu's power at this time is indeed a bit weak. He may just be a Quincy who survived by chance. Besides, these Quincies are so powerful that they must be well prepared. It is impossible for them to let a small character to alert the enemy. Yamamoto Genrusai Shijikuni nodded, agreeing with Kairaku Shunsui, but also added, "At this juncture, We would rather kill someone by mistake than let him go. As long as there is a chance to get a little information, we can't let it go. Before, although Ishida Aryu and Kurosaki Ichigo were wanted by the Gotai 13 as invaders. But later they realized that Aizen and others were the culprits, and they also absolved Kurosaki Ichigo, Kuchiki Rukia, and others of their guilt. Even the only remaining Quincy, Ishida Aryu, didn't pay much attention. But this time, it was different. Faced with the unprecedented crisis of the Soul Society and the Soul King Palace, they had to be extremely cautious. Therefore, Captain General Yamamoto was also preparing to instruct Byakuya Kuchiki, Soi Fong, and others to lead the team to the human world to find Ishida Aryu. But just as they were about to set off, a voice rang out. Bite! He noticed that the Shinigami in Soul Society wanted to leave Soul Society and was planning to resort to violence. During the projection of the three realms, the selected members cannot directly participate in the fight. If you still insist on being stubborn, your spiritual power will be further sealed. The door to the real world that was originally opened was closed instantly. Seeing this, Yamamoto, Genrusai Shijikuni, and others frowned. These three world projections actually have the power to stop them from leaving Soul Society. At the same time, this news was broadcasted to various places simultaneously, so that the Huko Mundo, the real world, and the Invisible Empire could know. The golden screen also turned the perspective to the Soul Society's death god. Ichigo Kurosaki was shocked by this. Aizen Sasuke, Ihwach, and others were also very interested and wanted to see what countermeasures Soul Society would take. Next, including Mayuri Kuretsuchi, the technical department personnel immediately began to study and found that their means of communication with the outside world had indeed been completely cut off. It seemed that there was a very mysterious force controlling the spirit particles in their space. Seeing this, Yamamoto, Genrusai Shijikuni, did not give up completely. Although he knew that the projection of the three realms was indeed very powerful, he could not just sit there and watch. Everything, all reduced to ashes. Ryujin Jaka. Ho 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 ho. The raging flames exploded. Yamamoto, Genrusai Shijikuni released his Zanpakuto, and his whole body was covered with blazing flames. With the momentum of burning everything, he stood in front of the death gods with a fierce momentum, as if he had the power to destroy the world. Seeing this, the other captains could only step back a few steps, not daring to approach Yamamoto, Genrusai Shijikuni. It seemed that the captain-in-chief was really going to take action. However, before Yamamoto, Genrusai Shijikuni officially took action, his blazing flames gradually disappeared. And Yamamoto, Genrusai Shijikuni's spiritual pressure also quickly disappeared. Bite! Sensing that Yamamoto, Genrusai Shijikuni, was about to take action, he temporarily sealed his spiritual pressure as a warning. During the live broadcast of the Three Realms projection, if there are still viewers who want to interrupt the video playback, they will be given more severe punishment. Afterwards, the flames dissipated, and the Soul Society's death gods also saw Captain Yamamoto with a gloomy face. The expression on his face is self-evident. In this regard, the death gods could only look at each other. This Three Realms projection is so powerful. It can even completely seal Captain Yamamoto's spiritual pressure. No wonder it was able to deprive Aizen Sasuke of 10% of his spiritual pressure before. Now it seems that it is indeed not something that can be taken lightly. Welcome the 7-day National Day holiday and have fun reading books. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP points. Chapter 32. At this moment, seeing that such a powerful Yamamoto Genrusai Shijikuni was also defeated, other forces were also very surprised. Aizen Sasuke still had a smile on his face, but he still had a lot of fear in his heart. If this projection of the three realms can even deprive Yamamoto Genryusai Shichikuni of his spiritual pressure, then this power has indeed exceeded his cognition. Is such a powerful existence conscious or unconscious? If it is an unconscious objective existence, then it can be used. This is very likely to be a mysterious existence of a higher dimension beyond the collapse of Jade. So at this moment, while Aizen Sasuke was secretly afraid of the projection of the three realms, he also had a strong expectation. At this time, the members of Huko Mundo did not mock the Soul Society. After all, they themselves had to admit that if it were them in Huko Mundo, they might not be able to break the shackles of the projection of the three realms, right? In this case, don't act rashly for the time being and continue watching the video. On the one hand, you can answer questions to get rewards. On the other hand, you can also get more important information. At this moment, the death gods no longer dared to act rashly. Fortunately, the three realms projection was quite polite to them and simply sealed the spiritual power of Captain Yamamoto. This showed that he did not have any deep hostility. He simply stopped the fight. As long as they followed the rules of the three realms projection, they would not be punished. Yamamoto Genryusai Shichikuni had no choice but to say, "Forget it. Anyway, Ishida Uryu doesn't seem to be from Iwachi's camp, so let's just watch patiently. Maybe this is also for our own good. We don't need to make a big fuss about it and make the wrong move." The other death gods also calmed down to avoid being laughed at by members of other forces. You are right. Ichigo Kurosaki has a license to fight as a proxy god of death, so he can be considered as one of us. Ishida Uryu is also a good friend of Kurosaki Ichigo. I believe he is not a bad guy. The death gods were forced to admit this fact. With the projection of the three realms, they really couldn't act rashly. In this case, they could only continue to watch patiently. By the way, they could get more important information from this. In the real world, Ishida Uryu breathed a sigh of relief. Originally, when he saw that these Quincy's were so powerful and that Soul Society was going to cause trouble for him, he complained bitterly. He was worried that he would be captured and tortured in Soul Society. But now it seems that he can rest assured for the time being. At the same time, he also had deep doubts about his identity. Where did these Quincy's come from? Hadn't the Quincy's been destroyed by the god of death 200 years ago? If these mysterious Quincy's really want to take action against Soul Society, then as a Quincy, which camp should he choose? Are the actions of these Quincy's purely for revenge or for justice? Then again, the power possessed by his father is also a mystery. What is his relationship with these powerful Quincy's? For a moment, Ishida Uryu fell into deep thought. Not long after, the Three Realms projection, which had briefly stopped playing, began to play a new series. Bite. The next famous scene to be played is also a famous scene of a legendary captain. Every time we abandon our dignity, we become one step closer to the beasts. Every time we kill a heart, we are one step closer to the beast. He is the king of the horizontal slash, the berserker who seeks to be defeated alone. The current Kenpachi, also the strongest Kenpachi, the captain of the entire villain squad, the 11th squad, Kenpachi Zaraki. Seeing these comments on the golden screen, Soul Society was not very surprised. The captains also knew what a terrible monster this Kenpachi Zaraki was. The reason why he joined the Gotai 13 was that he wanted to find an opponent who could fight him. Unfortunately, the captains would not fight him, and the former first-generation Kenpachi, Hachiru Anohana, also became a docile medical soldier. If it weren't for the huge gap between him and Captain General Yamamoto, it is estimated that Kenpachi Zaraki would pester the Captain General to fight every day. Madaram Ikaku, Captain, you are on the list as expected. This comment is absolutely commensurate with your ability. Ice Gawa, but what the hell is this villain team? Are we that scary? Yachiryu, hee, it sounds better to call us the battle squad. Kenpachi Zaraki, ha ha, so what if we are a team of villains? I wish I could fight more villains. Kairaku Shansui, the villain team. Ahem, I have to say, it's a pretty apt nickname. Anohana Ritsu, that's true. Kairaku Shansui, ah. Captain Anohana, I don't mean anything else. What I mean is that Division 11 is the strongest division. Abarai Renji, are all the members of the 11th Division evil? Then what am I? I was in the 11th Division. Ichigo Kurosaki, oh I see. No wonder you and Squad 11 are so similar, both in hairstyle and temper. Kuchiki Byakuya, humph, he is a problem boy, a fool. Abarai Renji. Ichigo Kurosaki, ah, is Kenpachi Zaraki so strong? He seems to be much stronger than I thought. In Zui Palace. Dongxian frowned slightly. I didn't expect it to be Kenpachi Zaraki. That's good. We can take this opportunity to search for information about him. Others may not know, but Aizen has specifically reminded him. Kenpachi Zaraki is not as simple as imagined. Don't fight him unless it's necessary. After all, Aizen even knows a little about Iwachi's information, so he naturally knows how terrifying Kenpachi Zaraki is. Grimjow was dismissive of this. Is it that important for us to take Kenpachi Zaraki seriously? In terms of fighting enthusiasm, I am no worse than him, and I am also much smarter than him, right? En Neutra also smiled grimly. Does he like fighting so much? Then let me accompany him. Aizen still had a calm smile, and it was impossible to tell what he was thinking. Very good. I also want to watch this video of Kenpachi Zaraki to see if he is as strong as I imagined. Aizen really knows Kenpachi Zaraki. Otherwise, in the process of Kurosaki Ichigo's growth, Kenpachi Zaraki, who has been suppressing his strength, would not have become a stepping stone for his growth. In the plan that has just sprouted at this time, Aizen has imagined to send Kenpachi Zaraki away. At the same time, there is also the first-generation Kenpachi, and the current strength of Anohana Ritsu is also difficult to guess. If these two Kenpachi are put into the battle with Aizen's forces, there may really be variables. In addition to the highest combat power Captain Yamamoto, if there is another Kenpachi Zaraki with an unknown upper limit, the battle will be full of unknowns. And his subordinates, even the top 410 Espadas, may not be able to defeat such an opponent. So at this moment, Aizen is also looking forward to this video of Kenpachi Zaraki. Welcome the 7-day National Day holiday and read books. Recharge 100 to get 500 VIP points. Chapter 33. While everyone was discussing with great interest, the famous scene of Kenpachi Zaraki soon appeared on the screen. It was the scene where Ichigo Kurosaki broke into the Soul Society not long ago. Many viewers were also wondering, why is the appearance rate of Ichigo Kurosaki so high? At this moment, facing the traveler Ichigo Kurosaki, Kenpachi Zaraki was very interested and wanted to fight with him. Although in theory Kenpachi Zaraki should not be an opponent that Ichigo Kurosaki can defeat, he can suppress his own fighting power to enjoy the fun of fighting. Buzz. Kenpachi Zaraki's appearance is full of oppression. The powerful spiritual pressure and murderous aura made Ichigo Kurosaki feel like he was stabbed directly in the chest with countless knives. Afterwards, Kenpachi Zaraki stated his position and only wanted to fight Ichigo Kurosaki. He even let Ichigo Kurosaki cut him first, so that the next battle would be fair. Ichigo Kurosaki. He had never heard of such a request in his life. Ichigo Kurosaki, puzzled and a little indignant, rushed over quickly. Swish! Clang! Ichigo Kurosaki chopped Zaraki Kenpachi with his zanjetsu, but he was not hurt at all. Instead, his own hand was injured. This Zaraki Kenpachi is simply a body of steel. At this time, barrages of comments floated past. Wow, Kenpachi is definitely letting the sea go. Bleeding before the fight, this is the first. However, Kenpachi couldn't bleed any blood even if he wanted to, which made him feel helpless. How lonely it is to be invincible. The attack power is less than the defense power, and Ichigo is hurt. Not only did he fail to break through the defense, but he was also injured. Kenpachi is such a bad old man. He has released the anti-injury thorn armor. Kenpachi, oh, what a pity you can't make use of the opportunity I gave you. Kenpachi, I still can't find anyone who can please me. High EQ, Kenpachi did this for fairness. Low IQ, Kenpachi was worried that Ichigo was too weak, so he let him go. Ichigo, got it, here comes the Matsuki. In the screen. Soon, Kenpachi Zaraki launched an attack. Kurosaki Ichigo was chased and beaten by Kenpachi Zaraki at the beginning. However, after Kurosaki Ichigo's heart was killed by memories, he thought of his companions, and he was determined to fight Kenpachi Zaraki, and his momentum rose again. During the fight, Kurosaki Ichigo asked Kenpachi Zaraki to release his Zanpakuto. But Kenpachi Zaraki said that his Zanpakuto had no name. Not to mention Bankai, he didn't even have Shikai. This scene was like the first battle between Abarai Renji and Kurosaki Ichigo. Kurosaki Ichigo was relieved at this time, thinking that Kenpachi Zaraki would not become stronger. But Kenpachi Zaraki immediately slapped Kurosaki Ichigo in the face, pierced through Kurosaki Ichigo's Zanpakuto, and penetrated his chest. Kurosaki Ichigo was shocked and fell to the ground. Kenpachi Zaraki originally thought that Kurosaki Ichigo was so weak that he was not worthy of his attention, so he left here with a dull mood. But Kurosaki Ichigo's external plugin has arrived at this time. The Uncle Zanjetsu that Kurosaki Ichigo thought of appeared. Uncle Zanjetsu also seriously asked Kurosaki Ichigo, "Do you want to fight or live?" Ichigo Kurosaki naturally wants both. Hearing this, Uncle Zanjetsu understood Ichigo Kurosaki's firm determination and brought him to a spiritual space. Just like before, it was still a different world with tall buildings. In Soul Society, upon seeing this person, many experienced warriors, such as Yamamoto Genrusai Shichikuni, Anohana Ritsu, Suzuki Chijiro, and others, were all shocked. They were more shocked than what happened before, because they could all recognize that this person's image was that of Ihwach from 1,000 years ago. Could it be that Ihwach is also related to Kurosaki Ichigo? If so, they definitely couldn't just sit back and watch. Of course, Yamamoto Genrusai Shichikuni also knew that this matter was serious, and he couldn't speak in the chat group, so he immediately summoned the relevant people. Chojiro, Captain Anohana, do you still remember this person? The female sword god Anohana Yachiryu from 1,000 years ago, and the one who dealt a fatal blow to Ihwach, Chijiro Suzuki, of course, will not forget the face of Ihwach. Indeed, this person is definitely Ihwach. How should we deal with Kurosaki Ichigo next? Kairaku Shunsui still looked lazy and didn't seem to be in a hurry. We may not need to be so nervous. From the conversation between Ihwach and Ichigo Kurosaki, we can know that Ichigo Kurosaki probably doesn't know this Ihwach either. he seems to regard him as the externalization of Ichigo Kurasaki's Zanpakuto. His rational thinking also allows everyone to judge the situation more clearly at this time. Yamamoto Genrusai Sheijukuni's tone is cold. Having said that, we can't let this Kurosaki Ichigo go easily. We dealt with him before because he was an invader from Soul Society and wanted to break our rules. Although it was later discovered that it was Aizen's conspiracy, it was written off for now. But this newly appeared Yauhabak can't be let go easily. The mysterious Quincy's we have seen before are undoubtedly the remnants of Ihwach. As for whether Yauhabak will be resurrected after 1,000 years, I have no idea. But the image of Ihwach in Ichigo, Kurosaki's mind means we must not be complacent. After pondering for a while, Yukitake Jashiro said slowly, "It was already troublesome enough that Ihwach was suspected of making a comeback. What's even more complicated is that he is now involved with the Shinigami agent Kurosaki Ichigo. In addition, we have never known the whereabouts of the remnants of the Quincy, which has allowed Ihwach and others to hide for nearly 1,000 years. Could it be related to Ichigo Kurosaki? Is it possible for Ihwach to be resurrected in Ichigo Kurosaki? In the future, what will be Ichigo Kurosaki's attitude towards our soul society? All of these things must be understood clearly." Yamamoto, Genrusai Shichikuni, and others watched the video and discussed Kurosaki Ichigo. As for the new generation of Shinigami who knew only a little about Ihwach, they also knew how terrifying Ihwach was. Chapter 34. While Soul Society treated Ihwach as a formidable enemy. End. Huko Mundo. Seeing the spiritual world of Ichigo Kurosaki and the appearance of Uncle Zangetsu in the image of Ihwach, Aizen Sasuke's smile became even stronger. This turned out to be his perfect work, the spiritual space of Ichigo Kurosaki. Even Aizen, who thought he was familiar with Ichigo Kurosaki, learned about it for the first time. Generally speaking, each god of death has his own unique spiritual world. Zanpakuto is essentially made based on the soul of the god of death. The god of death can gain power by talking to his own soul and Zanpakuto. So it is normal for Ichigo Kurosaki to talk to Zanpakuto. But why is the image of this Zanpakuto so similar to the legendary king of Quincy Ihwach? Aizen, who has read a lot of books, naturally knows something about the image of Ihwach 1,000 years ago. Aizen Sasuke also quickly realized that the power in Ichigo Kurosaki's body is very complicated. In addition to the power of the god of death and the hollow, there is actually the power of his mother Masaki Kurosaki. As a Quincy, Kurosaki Masaki should also pass on the Quincy power to Kurosaki Ichigo. So it is understandable that Kurosaki Ichigo is related to the Quincy. But Aizen still can't figure it out. How can the power of the god of death, represented by the Zanpakuto, Zangetsu, be the image of the Quincy Yauhabak? Is there something special about his test subject, Kurosaki Ichigo? Is the image of this Uncle Zangetsu simply similar to that of Yauhabak, or does he really have the soul of Yauhabak? For a moment, Aizen was a little confused, so he continued to read it carefully. At this time, on the other side, the most surprised were naturally the Quincy's of the Invisible Empire. Many Quincy's cried out, "Ah, what's going on? Why is His Majesty inside Kurosaki Ichigo?" And it is the image of His Majesty 1,000 years ago. According to the information we have about the god of death, it should be Ichigo Kurosaki's spiritual space, and what he saw should be the materialized image of his Zanpakuto, right? Moreover, he seemed to know nothing about His Majesty's deeds and name, and it was impossible for him to imagine a similar existence to His Majesty for no reason, right? They all looked at Yauhabak on the throne with shocked eyes. At this point, Yawabak could not remain silent any longer, so he simply said, Ichigo Kurosaki is not just a human or a god of death. He actually has the blood of a Quincy in his body. His mother, Kurosaki Masaki, is also a pure-blooded Quincy. Therefore, after the power of the god of death is materialized, this phenomenon will occur in Ichigo Kurosaki's body. After briefly stating the reason, Iwatch did not explain further. After hearing this, the Quincy's got the answer, but they still had some complaints. But this deputy god of death, Ichigo Kurosaki, actually also possesses the power of our Quincy. It's not nice to think about it. And as a Quincy, he actually joined the camp of the god of death. Does this make him a traitor to us? And I haven't seen him use the power of a Quincy. What a waste of talent. Your Majesty, should we attack them to clean up the mess? Facing the indignation of some Quincy's, Iwatch shook his head and said in a resounding voice, Without my order, you must not attack him. You just need to remember his identity. He is the special combat force of the future. Iwatch's words, as loud as a bell, kept circling in the minds of the Quincy's. They were all silent, not daring to say anything more. Some Quincy's even realized that Iwatch seemed to have only said half of the words. Even though Ichigo Kurosaki is in the camp of the Shinigami and has the power of the hollows that they hate the most. Iwatch did not hate Ichigo Kurosaki for this. Instead, he cared about Ichigo Kurosaki very much. Could it be that Iwatch wanted to win over Ichigo Kurosaki? These Quincy's were puzzled. While the Quincy's were in doubt, Iwatch just continued to stare at the screen, muttering to himself. This is my son, who was born in darkness. This Kurosaki Isshin is really too much. He even hid the truth about Ichigo Kurosaki's mother. What a poor son. I will come back to greet him one day. The representative color of the stern cross knights is white, which is in sharp contrast with the black death hegemony of the Shinigami. Iwatch has always claimed to be the side of light. Therefore, Ichigo Kurosaki, who was trained by the Shinigami, was tainted by darkness in Iwatch's heart. Therefore, he must let him recognize his Quincy bloodline. If Ichigo Kurosaki is allowed to join his command and willingly recognize him as the Holy Father, it will also highlight the sacred greatness of their Quincy's. As for more detailed matters, Iwatch did not tell his men. After all, he is also partial to the Quincy's. There are not many Quincy's that he can really call my sons. Those children who are not worth a lot are not taken seriously by him and can only be forced to accept his holy baptism. While countless forces were surprised, the screen continued to play. Uncle Zangetsu was preparing to train Ichigo Kurosaki, so he gave Ichigo Kurosaki an ordinary sword, saying that this was the initial form of Zanpakuto, the shallow strike. And Ichigo Kurosaki's Zangetsu Zanpakuto was thrown away by this uncle. Ichigo Kurosaki was about to pick it up, but was snatched away by Ichigo Hakumen. He looks very similar to Ichigo Kurosaki, like another side of Ichigo Kurosaki. He even called Ichigo Kurosaki a companion. Soon, Hakumen Ichigo began to fight with Ichigo Kurosaki. His strength and skills were so strong that Ichigo Kurosaki could not cope with it at all. Zangetsu made light work of it, and he turned the sword even more handy, extremely cool, as if he was more familiar with Zangetsu than Ichigo Kurosaki himself. He even put Ichigo Kurosaki in desperate situations many times. After seeing this scene, the audience was once again very surprised. Kenpachi Zaraki, hey, this is too much. While fighting with me, we suddenly changed places and met so many helpers. Madaram Ikaku, Captain, this is the spiritual space of the Zanpakuto. If you want to obtain Bankai, you must communicate with the Zanpakuto. Oh, I almost forgot that you may not even know what a Zanpakuto is. Ikamaru Jin, I really don't understand. Doesn't an ordinary person's Zanpakuto have the same image? What's with these two? And one looks so much like Kurosaki Ichigo himself. Stark, is it because you are too lonely that you created a similar self to me to fight and relieve boredom? Mayuri Kuratsuchi, it's really interesting. With all my knowledge of Zanpakuto, I've never heard of this scene before. And how did Ichigo Kurosaki stand up after he was already on the verge of death? There must be a secret. Hitsuge Taoshiru, come to think of it before, I thought Captain Zaraki must have let Ichigo Kurosaki off so that he could save Rukia later. I didn't expect that he was still very serious about defeating Ichigo Kurosaki in the early stage. Byakuya Kuchiki, this white Kurosaki Ichigo. Is it another Kurosaki Ichigo? Why do I feel so familiar? For a moment, countless viewers were once again confused. Welcome the 7-day National Day holiday and have fun reading books. Top up 100 and get 500 VIP points. Chapter 35. At this time, Kyonya Kuni. Seeing this scene, Aizen Sasuke's face changed slightly. Who is this white Ichigo? Aizen, who has amazing observation skills, quickly recalled. When Kurosaki Ichigo was about to lose in the battle against Byakuya Kuchiki, it was because of the awakening of the power of the Hollow that Kurosaki Ichigo turned the situation around. At that time, Kurosaki Ichigo's body was obviously controlled by other forces, and the sound he made was basically the same as that of White Ichigo. So, could it be that White Ichigo is the embodiment of Kurosaki Ichigo's hollow power? But Aizen also felt that something was wrong. Judging by his feelings, he felt that the source of White Ichigo's power might not be the power of the hollow. Could it be a fusion of multiple powers? The more Aizen thought about it, the more confused he became. What is the relationship between White Ichigo and Kurosaki Ichigo? Will they help Kurosaki Ichigo grow, or will they compete with each other, or even snatch control of Kurosaki Ichigo's body? And what is the relationship between Uncle Zangetsu in the image of Iwatch, Shiro Ichigo and Kurosaki Ichigo? This relationship is too complicated, and even Aizen feels a bit brain-burning. No wonder the Three Realms projection thinks that Kurosaki Ichigo is his most perfect work. From this point of view, his complexity does require further research to be completely controlled. Aizen, who thinks he is the creator of Kurosaki Ichigo, is looking forward to it. I hope that the existence of Uncle Zangetsu and Shiro Ichigo will allow Kurosaki Ichigo to evolve better. Let him break the limitations of a single species, even break through another dimension. In the golden screen. During the battle with Shiro Ichigo complained that Kurosaki Ichigo only knew the name of Zangetsu, but didn't understand Zangetsu at all. Kurosaki Ichigo also realized his own problem. He had never understood Zangetsu's heart, so he couldn't get the true power of Zangetsu. Zanpakuto all have their own names, and you must understand them thoroughly. They are not just tools. And it is because of this realization that Kurosaki Ichigo regained the power of Zangetsu and defeated Shiro Ichigo. Shiro Ichigo could only say to Uncle Zangetsu with a very unpleasant taste, "Well, it seems that my mission is accomplished. After all, he is the king of this world, and he must win. This guy is very strong. You need to train him well. His power will belong to me sooner or later." In the eyes of other audiences, this white Ichigo seems to be hostile to Kurosaki Ichigo. It seems that if Kurosaki Ichigo loses, White Ichigo will replace him ruthlessly. This makes the audience even more puzzled. Is there a time bomb in Kurosaki Ichigo's body? The relationship between various powers in Kurosaki Ichigo's body is really complicated. Afterwards, Uncle Zangetsu also said to Kurosaki Ichigo meaningfully and affectionately, "Ichigo, I hate the rain. If you are sad, it will rain in this world. As long as you believe in me, I won't let any rain fall in this world. Believe me, Ichigo, you are not fighting alone." This is the domineering declaration of Uncle Zangetsu. This ambiguous words aroused the curiosity of the audience, wanting to know what the relationship between him and Kurosaki Ichigo is. Finally, Kurosaki Ichigo's plug-in from the power of the Quincy arrived. Kurosaki Ichigo's body recovered, and his strength suddenly soared again. Zaraki Kenpachi looked back in surprise, and was rarely surprised at this time. Kurosaki Ichigo, who was originally half dead, was resurrected with full blood. He burst out with terrifying power and speed, and instantly injured Zaraki Kenpachi. Seeing this, Zaraki Kenpachi was very excited. He hasn't met such a powerful opponent for a long time. So he took off his eye mask. Okay, he won't pretend. The previous self was just an ordinary state. Buzz. Zaraki Kenpachi's momentum suddenly rose. The golden spiritual pressure burst out. With a light wave, he cut a building next to him in half. Boom! Then the two super hung ones started to fight with all their strength. At this time, the audience was once again extremely surprised. The white Ichigo and Uncle Zangetsu in Kurosaki Ichigo's body were already very puzzling. Now he has inexplicably gained the power to heal wounds. There are too many incredible things about him, right? And if you have a deep understanding of the Quincy, you can see that at this time, Kurosaki Ichigo actually has the special power of the Quincy. At this time, Kurosaki Ichigo said that he would never lose if he fought side by side with his Zanpakuto. But Kenpachi Zaraki was very disdainful and thought that the sword was just a tool. He only believed in himself and didn't need a Zanpakuto at all. At this time, Uncle Zangetsu appeared behind Kurosaki Ichigo and said to him, "Did you hear that? This guy's sword is screaming. But he can't hear it, and he can't trust the sword, so he can't exert the sword's strongest power." Ichigo Kurosaki said that he would definitely believe in the power of Uncle Zangetsu. He also told Kenpachi Zaraki that he and Zangetsu would fight side by side, and they would definitely be able to defeat Kenpachi Zaraki. But Kenpachi Zaraki said disdainfully that the power of Zanpakuto was not worth mentioning and was not as reliable as his own power. This represents the collision of two ideas. At this time, Kenpachi Zaraki did suppress the power of his Zanpakuto, and even the sword he used was randomly found. He relied entirely on his brute force and spiritual pressure to rush in. This is unique in the entire Soul Society. Afterwards, Ichigo Kurosaki leaned against Uncle Zangetsu and started the final collision with Kenpachi Zaraki. Boom! The vast spiritual pressure overflowed, forming shock waves that spread everywhere. The surrounding buildings were all destroyed and razed to the ground. After a burst of thick smoke, the confrontation scene between Kenpachi Zaraki and Ichigo Kurosaki appeared in front of everyone. Both parties were still standing at this time, with extremely solemn faces. Ichigo Kurosaki's Zanpakuto only hit Kenpachi Zaraki's shoulder. But Kenpachi Zaraki's sword pierced through Ichigo Kurosaki's internal organs. So Ichigo Kurosaki fell to the ground first. But at this time, Kenpachi Zaraki muttered to himself, "You win, boy." Several seconds later, blood suddenly spurted out of his shoulder. Kenpachi Zaraki also fell to the ground at the speed of light. The audience, who originally thought that Kenpachi Zaraki had won, were also dumbfounded. Oh my god! Such a powerful Kenpachi Zaraki, still lost in the end. Especially the old captain who knew how powerful Kenpachi Zaraki was. His face was very strange at this time. Whether it was Kenpachi Zaraki's combat performance or Ichigo Kurasaki's bottomless power, they were all very incredible. At this time, the barrage of comments floated by again. Although Kenpachi becomes stronger when facing a stronger opponent, Ichigo has no moral principles and instantly turns on the cheetah to kill monsters above his level. Oh my god, why is it like this again? The one who falls first actually wins. Does Kenpachi's wound have a delay? Ichigo fell down for so long before blood spurted out. Haha, report Kenpachi for his poor acting skills. Kenpachi, there's no other way but to pretend to be dead. Otherwise, if I kill Ichigo, who will please me in the future? Report them for not following the spirit of sportsmanship. 1 for requesting off-field assistance. 1 for match fixing. Don't criticize me, Kenpachi, for letting Ichigo go. I, Kenpachi, have fought in so many battles in my life, but which one did I fight seriously? I, Kenpachi, never take things seriously. What I, Kenpachi, mean is that everyone here is a loser. Report that Byakuya and Kenpachi were seriously letting Ichigo win. They were the least injured, but they said Ichigo won. I, Haribal, didn't put as much water as you did. In the chat group, everyone was also talking in surprise. Komamura Sajin. Ah, so this is the outcome of the battle between Captain Zaraki and Ichigo Kurosaki. Abarai Renji. No wonder Captain Zaraki helped Ichigo Kurosaki and others. If nothing unexpected happened, he must have recognized Ichigo Kurosaki. Kenpachi Zaraki, he of course. How can such a rare opponent be easily defeated? I'm still waiting for him to please me in the future. Anohana Ritsu. Have fun reading books during May Day. Top up 100 yuan and get 500 VIP points. Chapter 36. Although the video of Kurosaki Ichigo defeating Kenpachi Zaraki was playing at this time. But after seeing his spiritual space being broadcast live, Kurosaki Ichigo felt a little uncomfortable. It was as if he was being analyzed by countless people. And he himself didn't know who the white Ichigo in his mind was. And he was not very clear about the relationship between the so-called Uncle Zangetsu and this white Ichigo. And he firmly believed that this middle-aged uncle was the real body of Zangetsu. This white Ichigo might still be someone who wanted to be his enemy. Compared with Aizen Sasuke and Iwatch, he was the most confused person. It can be said that he didn't know the true face of Mount Lu because he was in it. In the chat group, everyone is still talking. Ikamaru Jin. I don't know why, but combined with the barrage, I always feel that this battle is a bit funny. Do people who fight against Kurosaki Ichigo like to let him win so much? Kairaku Shunsui. Ahem, let's not talk about the previous things. The power of Kurosaki Ichigo's spiritual space is indeed worth our further study. Kuchiki Byakuya. Indeed, he had already shown this phenomenon of becoming stronger out of nowhere when he fought me before. And after careful analysis, the strength he showed in the 2 battles seemed slightly different. He seemed to be a hollow when he fought me last time, but he was different from a hollow when he fought Zaraki Kenpachi this time. Abarai Renji. At this time, his spiritual pressure was far inferior to Captain Zaraki's, but after a turn in the spiritual space, he quickly became stronger and was even able to use Bankai. This speed is too fast, right? I also want such a plugin. Aizen Sasuke. Of course, the one I have been following will definitely not let me down. Well done, Kurosaki Ichigo. Ichigo Kurosaki. Ah, Aizen, are you done yet? Aizen Sasuke. Although Kenpachi Zaraki is indeed very powerful, he will not release all his strength at once, but will suppress it to a level similar to that of his opponent in order to prolong his fighting time. So under his gradual progress, you can also gradually become stronger. Ichigo Kurosaki, I don't want to hear it. Yamamoto, Genrusai Shichikuni, was watching the video, but he had no time to pay attention to Aizen. Instead, he was concerned about more important information and analyzed to himself. The Ihwach in Ichigo Kurosaki's body said he hated rain, and he looks more and more like the real Ihwach. When I used my Bankai to defeat Ihwach, the heat caused the water to evaporate, and after the battle, it rained heavily. So he must really hate rain, right? And the shape and size of the sword used by Kurosaki Ichigo is indeed very similar to my Zanka sword. The so-called Uncle Zangetsu by Ichigo Kurosaki must be related to Ihwach. In addition, many of the moves that Ichigo Kurosaki used after his Bankai were indeed not the traditional power of the Shinigami, and they were even a little similar to the skills of the Quincy. After a series of analyses, Yamamoto Genrusai Shichikuni became more and more certain about the existence of Ihwach. Even if the Uncle Zangetsu in Kurosaki Ichigo's body was not the real Ihwach, he must have a close connection with Ihwach. At the Invisible Empire, seeing that Ihuhabak and Ichigo Kurosaki have such a good relationship, the faces of the Quincy's are very strange. The always cold Ihuhabak not only taught Ichigo Kurosaki carefully, told him how to use the Zanpakuto, and sent an inexplicable white Ichigo to practice with him. He even fought side by side with Ichigo Kurosaki afterwards. That's why he was able to defeat Kenpachi Zaraki 2-on-1. Just like his father. This feeling really makes them want to complain. However, Ihuhabak didn't speak at this time, and they were all silent. Those with sharp eyes can see that Ichigo Kurosaki's instant recovery must rely on the skills of the Quincy's, such as the static blood